As I'm looking through a lot of these comments about Kid versus Shanks, I think you guys are missing the point. This was not a fight to showcase like how weak Kid was or like how in over his head he was. I think the power and threat level that Kid showcased in this episode was clear enough, and that's like good on its own. Took out an entire fleet in like 10 seconds, that's insane. But the point of this episode was to show you that Shanks has future sight that allows him to see 10 plus seconds into the future, which is greater than even like Katakuri, Luffy, and even dudes like Kaido. Like, Shanks has the best observation haki that we've seen in the entire series, which is a complete contrast from Blackbeard, who can't dodge attacks like this from Law. Meaning of the current 4 emperors, Shanks has the best observation, probably the best observation in the entire series. And I hate that Oda didn't release this information publicly like in the main canon series, but for those who didn't know, Shanks is also known as the observation killer, meaning observation haki does not work versus him. So like, realistically, what are you supposed to do when a dude that can see 10 plus seconds into the future and stop you from looking into the future pulls up on you? Let's not forget that Shanks is the same dude that in Film Red, he got Kizaru in a checkmate. The dude that can move at the speed of light, he was where he was going to be before he got there. If the man made of light can't get away, what do you expect anybody else to be able to do? And then at the end of that movie, he punks 2 admirals by flexing his conqueror's haki. Like, hey, you want to get to Uda, you better put your life on the line. And they were both like, you know what? Nah, I'm good. That's how great his conqueror's haki is. That level of haki is what Kid got hit with. Like, Kid was going to lose. We get that. I'm a Kid fan, and I knew that was going to happen. But if you're using this as an opportunity to hate on Kid instead of praise Shanks, you're kind of being weird. Because with everything I just told you about Shanks and his haki, whoever was getting hit by this thing, gotta be honest, probably ain't getting back up. And that was the entire point, because if you go after Shanks' friends, he is not finna hold back on you. So people that are out there thinking like, oh, well, you know, Shanks, he still wasn't going all out. No, he was going all out. We can't forget that Shanks is the type of dude that would beat down dudes that only worth 8 million berry just because they punched Luffy. You think Shanks was going easy on them? Lucky Roo blew one of his dude's brains out. If you hurt the people that he cares about, he will try to kill you. Shanks was not holding back here. We know how durable Kid is. He's actually shown to be kind of one of the most durable people in the series. The story is letting you know that attack potency wise, you do not want to get hit by this man. Keep in mind, he was a rival to Mihawk before he lost his arm. So moral of this story, don't use it as an opportunity to hate on Kid for no reason, but instead use it to praise Shanks, because this was the first time in 25 years of publication that you got to see him in action. This is the same dude that pulled up to Marineford and said, everybody go home. And guess what? They went home. 3 admirals, Garp, Sengoku, the fleet admiral, it didn't matter. Everybody did not want to be there once he pulled up. How you got the most bloodthirsty Marine in the world? He didn't even realize that Shanks pulled up. Akainu got caught off guard the exact same way that Kid did. It's just that Shanks didn't hit him here. But the cool thing is, now we know how strong Shanks was at Marineford War, and this is why everybody went home when he pulled up. I got a question for some of y'all out there, and if you know the answer, please tell me. But when you see a character like Shanks and see how fast he is, see how strong his conqueror's haki is, see how great his attack power is, what gives you the confidence to say that Zoro or Luffy would have been able to do anything about Divine Departure? And not just do something about it, but your words specifically, you said in terms of deflecting it. You think Zoro or Luffy can deflect Divine Departure? Zoro, who can't even take down Lucci. Luffy, who gets tagged by Kizaru, a character that can not only move faster than light, but despite that speed feat is still too slow to deal with Shanks. Yet somehow you have the confidence to say they can do something about Divine Departure or deflect it. This is what I'm talking about, and when I'm like making these videos, these are the type of comments I'm competing with. Now I could have just typed no and move on, but I really have to drill this into some of y'all heads. With Kaido and Big Mom out of the picture, the strongest 2 people in the world of One Piece, Blackbeard and Shanks. Yes, Mihawk is up there, but he does not have the fleet of an emperor the same way these 2 do. Currently, outside of maybe Mihawk, nobody else is fighting these 2 characters. Like, if we're gonna keep it a buck, Law had a harder time than Luffy did because he had to deal with the Emperor, Blackbeard. Kid had a harder time than Luffy did because he had to deal with the Emperor, Shanks. Meanwhile, Luffy has to fight against, what, Lucci, the dude that can't even get by number 2? Even if number 2 can't take him down? Kizaru, a dude that for literally like the last 10 years of publication, people cannot decide on if he's even serious or not. And yes, I'm caught up in the manga, and Kizaru is still the biggest threat on Egghead. Comparatively, Luffy had the easier time. It is what it is. If you ever replace Kid with Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, all 3, it wouldn't matter. It would end the same way. You can't say they would know what's coming because of Future Sight that don't work versus Shanks. Zoro's getting his attack stopped by Lucci's leg. I do not think Zoro's attack can do anything to get through Shanks' sword. So with that being said, I hope you guys can be less disingenuous with topics like these in the future. Because how are we supposed to have a conversation when you sitting over there lying? Now that Kid has fought Shanks and lost, how would he come back into the story and who would save him from, drowning in the water? Obviously can't be Killer because that dude can't swim either. Now, there are 2 ways that he can be saved from this, and the first one is a little bit obvious. One or some of the Elbaf giants can save Kid from the water. Obviously, maybe not Dorian Bragi, but Elbaf is a country. I would not be surprised if other giants exist that would adore Kid. Keep in mind, Big Mom has been the enemy of the giants for decades. Ever since she killed an elder giant as a 5-year-old, and then Mother Caramel stopped these other giants from wanting to kill her in her sleep because they were like, yeah, she's just the god of destruction. Get her out of here. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, a descendant of this giant or this giant himself, because, they lived for 200 plus years. Maybe they didn't agree with what Dorian Bragi did and they went in the water and saved him. He might ask, why'd you save me? And they might be like, you took down Big Mom and she killed my great grandfather, that one elder giant. And as a result, that's the first way Kid can be saved. And the cool thing about it is, if this were to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if Kid also gets a giant on his crew, because I'm pretty sure he's going to lose majority of his old crew. It's the same way back in Sabaody when Law saved John Bart, and then John Bart joined his crew. So he, recruited a giant. That way, it's both Law and Kid would have a giant on their crew. I think that'd be cool. And then the second thing is something that I talked about at length in the past. But for me to talk about it right now, there is going to be some spoilers, so keep that in mind. And that second person is Law and Beppo, because they're technically headed right for Elbaf right now. After Law gets defeated and his boat blown up, Beppo takes Law and he swims away, but there's only one direction he can go, and that's toward Elbaf. And I brought up the map before in an old video. If you want, you can go and find it. But at the end of Wano, where they were deciding on where to go and they had the map on the screen, the island that Law went to was between the Calm Belt and Elbaf. And I know Beppo is not going to swim through the Calm Belt. That thing is full of sea kings and sea beasts. So at that point, the closest island that he would be swimming to would be Elbaf. Either that or swim in the opposite direction away from Lodestar. And even then, I think the closest thing outside of Elbaf would be a military base, because, G4 was close by. And I know they ain't going there, so they'd be heading to Elbaf. And since Beppo is swimming underwater, they would probably see the wreckage, maybe even see some of the crew already deceased, and then they see Kid and Killer and take them up. At that point, they can both reconvene. What happened to you, Blackbeard? What happened to you, Shanks? At that moment, they can realize, you know what? Together, we definitely can take down emperors, and we know we can trust each other to do that. So, want to team up? In which case, Kid and Law will be back into the race, and they would be stronger than ever. Mainly because they're now working together. So yeah, those are the 2 situations that I think that Kid can be saved, and I think they're both pretty logical. But if you think there's a different one, or you think that I ain't making no sense, let me know down below. As one of the ways for Kid to come back into the story, I do think there's a realistic chance that he could team up with Blackbeard. Which might be hard to understand at first, because the last time we saw this dude, he was fighting Law. But let me see if I can break it down, and then it makes more sense afterward. And the first thing you got to keep in mind is that Blackbeard had his hand in every pot in the New World. He was on Winter Island fighting Law. He had some of his commanders pulling up to Egghead. He had other people in Totland kidnapping Puddin'. Of course, his Blackbeard pirates on Fulalea Island taking out Garden. This dude was even on Amazon Lily trying to take Boa's devil fruit, so he was quite literally everywhere. So for me, it makes sense that he would also be at Elbaf, or have somebody at Elbaf, because he had people everywhere else. Teach is an opportunist, so maybe there's something over here that he can pick up. I can definitely see Teach going through the wreckage trying to find, something from Kid's crew, something from his ship. After all, this is a dude that was worth 3 billion berries. You would not be surprised if there was something over there. Or even for Blackbeard, if Kid is dead, take the dead body and go turn it in for some free money. But more than likely when Blackbeard finds Kid, Kid would still be alive as well as Killer, though a lot of other his crew members may be dead. And since Blackbeard already took the poneglyphs from Law, he doesn't, really need to take anything from Kid. But maybe he inquires like what happened to you, and then Kid brings up that it was Shanks and that he wants to get him back for it. In which case I can see Blackbeard being like, hey, if you want to take down Red Hair, team up with me and we gonna go kill that man. Keep in mind that Blackbeard did work with Law at the Rocky Port incident to take down Wang Zi, who was a former Rocks pirate member. And Kid and Law were able to work together to take down Big Mom, another emperor. So I would see him being like, you know what? If this is somebody that Law was able to work with in the past, maybe I can do it too. Especially if a lot of people in this crew are dead now, because I can see him just being like, yo, I don't care if I'm teaming up with you, we killing Shanks. And while I don't think like Kid will be the one to like take Shanks down eventually, I'm sure that's going to be reserved for Blackbeard. I can definitely see Kid being the one to kill Shanks' entire crew. If not all of them, a good chunk of them, because like a get back for what it is that you did to me and my crew. Because keep in mind, when it comes to like the threat level of the red hair pirates, it's usually these dudes as a unit. Higuma the Bandit, back in chapter 1, Shanks and his whole crew fought him. Marine 4A, bring it on. Will take care of every single one of you. He's talking about him as a unit, not him himself. And whatever the case may be, Blackbeard said it was too soon to fight Shanks because he had all these people with him. So it wouldn't surprise me like if Blackbeard can make some type of plan where he is taking up all of Shanks' time and attention. Then while Shanks' observation hockey is like focused on Blackbeard in this moment, he can't send Kid way beyond yonder and he just wipes out Shanks' ship. In which case Blackbeard would have like finally brought Shanks to a 1v1 scenario, and I think he will then beat him. And I don't think this is a stretch because Oda did say way back in Sabaody when all the supernovae were first introduced that Kid was the only one that he knew was going to be important. And most people already know that when it comes to the supernova, Oda made them up on the spot because of an editor saying that Sabaody seems a little bit boring because ain't nobody else here. Which means that whether he made these guys or not, eventually we were going to get Kid because he was always playing. Now, it could be that Kid was in the story just to give Shanks the poneglyphs that he didn't get from Big Mom and Kaido, but I'm willing to bet that he was in the series for, a bigger purpose and a better reason. And if that purpose was to team up with the main villain of the series to take down the mentor of the main character of the series, I think that'd be pretty important.